So this is a very exciting time. My name is Jenny Knoll and I'm Director of the Network on Child Protection and Wellbeing. Knowledge does no good if it sits untranslated in academic journals or gets buried behind the jargon of university walls. And knowledge does no good if it addresses unimportant questions or has little or no impact on a problem. Answering relevant questions that generate workable solutions is the chief responsibility of science. And then translating these solutions into products that can be realistically implemented in the end user environment.
On behalf of Penn State, I'd like to thank you for attending this conference that is so important to our children's health and well-being.
Today, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about how our biological studies inform the interventions and prevention efforts that we are doing in our program.
So the first bit of work will be on resilience, but also on trajectories of adjustment, and I'm using the word heterogeneity a lot.
My lab, which focuses on rhesus monkeys, not humans, had a primary interest in understanding and characterizing individual differences in personality or temperament.
So I'm going to be talking to you guys today about disruptions or alterations in the brain's fear circuitry in cases of pediatric trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. Kids are moving targets, and we need to study how their brains develop differently, and also how our treatments may or may not correct some of these changes that we're seeing.
There's very convincing data with respect to money and happiness that there is a cutoff there. So happiness increases with income, but only up to a certain level. Intriguingly, that's not true with health.
So I want to start first with two important frameworks that are relevant to the studies I'm going to show you. So the first one, Kieran actually mentioned that, this is the developmental origin of health and disease model. So in other words, early adverse conditions in utero may have permanent changes on our body's function and metabolism, which can result in accelerated aging later on.
So, in a sense, in resilience research is asking, what does it take to succeed? And how can we build those attributes and qualities in at-risk youth? So from this perspective, we would ask the question, what attention, learning, memory, problem-solving, decision-making strategies are enhanced by exposure to early life adversity?
There's many roads to resilience, there's many ways to get there. Ordinary adaptive systems like good parents, those high-licking mom equivalents, are powerful.
When we talk about the enduring neurobiological consequences of abuse and neglect, I think it's going to be important in all psychiatric distinction studies as to whether or not the individuals have had a maltreatment history or not. It's crucial to recognize that early traumatic stress is not just a risk factor for psychopathology, it's a critical element that divides psychiatric disorders in a way that has far-reaching implications for research, treatment, and prevention.
Like you, my research is very much focused on the role of the early environment in shaping child development. And I'm particularly interested in the mediating molecular mechanisms that link early experience to later mental health.
So just stop for a second and imagine that in the year 2035, somebody's up here, maybe me, saying, no, okay, not me, but saying we've produced a 75% decrease in the risk from mental health. The prevention target is obviously then children in early childhood, which means that we need to access our populations in clinical settings that are often quite difficult and challenging. We need to get in and work with pediatricians, we need to work with schools, etc. So we've got a lot of challenges.
How do we engage the community, both survivors and those who are advocating for survivors?
People in this room need to be communicating, because otherwise it'll all be filtered through ambassadors that may not represent the best of our science out there that will speak for us. So I think it's important that we take on that task of communication with our participants, with our state legislatures, with the press, etc.
And the whole idea is exactly what you all are talking about, to very intelligently and strategically communicate the science very carefully to public and private sectors to try to make use out of what we do know, what has been replicated.
What's the best intervention that's never been tested? And what's out there that we haven't tried yet?
The intervention that's never been done, that I believe desperately needs to be done and developed, is to study and understand how children from high adversity contexts, what they're good at in terms of learning, in terms of memory, in terms of reasoning and problem solving, and then to work with that, to use that to leverage better interventions rather than just trying to work against it, which is primarily what we do now.
Science, in the end, is about storytelling. We're going to need everybody in order to make the changes to solve this kind of problem.
This is why we brought basic scientists together who work at the molecular level, together with scientists who understand the human processes of resilience and the possibilities for reversing the damage of stress, trauma, and maltreatment.